Marvel Comics creating female versions of their male heroes is not exactly a new concept. We have a She-Hulk for a reason. Stan Lee wanted to protect Marvel Comics from DC creating a She-Hulk over in their universe because they had already created Wonder Man, a male ripoff of Wonder Woman. So we've always had like girl versions of heroes. We got Spider-Woman, characters like that. But about 10 years ago, maybe 15 years ago, there went just this weird culture change at Marvel Comics where they no longer wanted to have like a female alternate version of the hero. They wanted to replace the male heroes with female characters. We had Jane Foster as Thor for a long time. For some reason, Thor Odinson became unworthy and Jane Foster became Thor, even though that was his name, and she was wielding Mjolnir. We even had Iron Man Tony Stark replaced with a teenage science genius named Riri Williams. And for some reason, of all the stupid ideas Marvel Comics have ever had that certainly never worked, Marvel Studios and Kevin Feige insist on continuing to shit all over their established male heroes by just replacing them with female versions of the heroes. The latest example, if you want to believe the rumors, and I do believe the rumors, there ain't nobody out there disputing those, is going to be Iron Fist. Now, it seemed exciting. We do know that they had to retool completely Daredevil Born Again because it wasn't going to be in line with the Netflix universe that everyone liked. And with that brought a lot of extra actors from the Netflix Daredevil show. But it also appears we're going to be getting more other heroes from the Netflix universe, including an Iron Fist, but it will not be old poor Finn Jones and Danny Rand. According to movie scooper Daniel Richmond, there are now plans to develop a new Iron Fist series, but with a twist. The new show would reportedly focus on a female lead, and it's also said the project could potentially be animated. The report also suggested that Finn Jones, the star of the original Iron Fist, would be wanted to return as Danny Rand for the new series. However, the rumored plan would be for him to pop up in a cameo without serving as the main character. Me personally, I kind of like Danny Rand. He's a cool character. He's not one of my favorite Marvel Comics heroes, but there's something cool about him. I like the idea that he kind of went missing, which they certainly did within the TV show. He comes back, he's got powers. It had a lot of feel, kind of like with what the CW had done with Green Arrow that was very successful for a time within their own network, and they were able to create their own, I guess, Arrowverse or whatever after that. Unfortunately, Danny Rand and the Iron Fist came after Daredevil, and he always felt kind of like he was a bit player in comparison to like Daredevil and some of the other heroes. A lot of times in comic books, he has been associated with Luke Cage, and I do think they try to build that up within like the Defenders universe or whatever they want to call it there on Netflix. And obviously all that stuff is canon now, but it does suck. The character never really got his due. He did get 2 seasons, and I do feel bad for Finn Jones, the actor. You know, I thought he was perfectly great as the Flower Knight or the Knight of Flowers, whatever it is on Game of Thrones. It sounds like his casting happened at the last minute. He didn't have a lot of prep time for that first season, and quite frankly, nobody really liked that first season. The second season, a lot of people liked it better. But at that point, you know, the Defenders universe was kind of winding down. The Defenders team-up thing had already happened, and Daredevil was missing, and Iron Fist had to kind of step up. But there weren't a whole lot of big plans because they were about to scrap everything on Netflix and start creating MCU shows on Disney+, and they didn't want to have any brand confusion out there. But there's so much history with Danny Rand as the Iron Fist, the master of Kung Fu who gets his mystical powers from the city of Kunlun that you see every like 10 years or something. And he's even had apprentices and stuff like that. But I don't think MCU fans ever really got a great taste of who Danny Rand Iron Fist could be. And it sounds like that will likely never happen. It's easy to speculate the most likely candidate to take over as Iron Fist is Colleen Wing, played by Jessica Henwick in the original Iron Fist series. Henwick has previously expressed her hopes to reprise that role in the MCU. Should the studio wish to introduce a new character to fulfill this role, their source material offers up a number of potential and established options regarding the concept of a female Iron Fist, including the living weapon of 1 million BC known as Fan Fei, the Chinese pirate queen Wu Aoshi, and the one-time potential Phoenix host Fong Ji Wu, and Pei, a young Kunlun native who learned to wield the fist after receiving training directly from Danny Rand himself. And to be quite honest with you, of all those characters, the one that makes the most sense in the MCU obviously is Colleen Wing, who's been a part of the Marvel Comics, I think, since the mid-'70s. A lot of times she was associated with Misty Knight, and she did at one time possess the power of Kunlun when I think she mind-melded with Danny. No, Danny mind-melded with her because she'd been taken over by something similar to the Hand, like they had a demon or something. and she was able to kind of get the powers or some type of power variant similar to the Iron Fist itself. But in comic books, they never really set her up like that to be the successor of Danny Rand as the Iron Fist. They actually set up Pei, who was a younger character, specifically from the city where Iron Fist actually derives his power. And she's a cool character, a young lady. But they were actually setting it up to do it pretty naturally, through where one day Danny Rand would retire, maybe be injured or whatever, and you had this trainee, this apprentice, who had been training under him all along to kind of take over. Obviously, we never saw Pei in the Defender universe, and we certainly haven't seen her within the TV show or anything like that. So I don't think we'll get to see that character. And they did the weirdest thing in comic books. You know what? I know this is more of an MCU video, but it's story time with Wes. I gotta tell you guys this one. Larry Hama, a creator, I respect a lot of the things he's done. He's said some weird stuff lately, but apparently, despite being the guy that created Snake Eyes, as a white character that went to Japan and learned like ninjutsu and stuff under the Ashikakari clan and all that stuff with Storm Shadow, he created that character, which is very similar to what happens to Danny Rand, where he's like a fish out of water. He goes to a new culture and he learns and becomes the master of Kung Fu or whatever. Larry Hama has changed his ideas on whether or not that's appropriate. Apparently, if you're a white character, a white actor, you shouldn't be portraying people that know martial arts, especially ninjutsu or Kung Fu and stuff like that. So he had this Iron Fist series that includes Danny Rand as Iron Fist and Pei, who is the logical successor to the Iron Fist, and they're fighting these enormous dragons. But Danny is injured somehow, and he's not going to be able to get it done. So he gives the Iron Fist power to Okoye. You might recognize that name from Black Panther. Certainly not part of the Iron Fist lore or even Shang-Chi or anything like that. He gives the Iron Fist power to Okoye. She takes the dragon down in about half a panel. Immediately, Okoye, with their training and the Iron Fist power, defeats this dragon, which was unconquerable by Danny Rand himself. He tells Okoye, holy crap, you're a better Iron Fist than I ever was. Now, he's been Iron Fist, in comic books, the sliding timeline, all that stuff. But for like fucking 60 years now. Okoye was Iron Fist for 45 seconds. And he even recognized that she was a better Iron Fist than her. And he wanted her to keep the power. But Okoye was like, no, I don't need that. And then put the power in an egg and gave it back to him because she thought the power was beneath him. And for some reason, Larry Hama thought that was a good story. And Danny himself apparently felt inadequate, did not want the power back, did not give it to Pei, even though she was with him, who would be the logical successor. And then they gave the Iron Fist series to Alyssa Wong, who has openly bragged about queering up Star Wars. That's apparently been her goal in life. And then Alyssa Wong took the Iron Fist powers that were in the egg with the dragon and gave it to Swordmaster. And if you're not a Marvel Comics fan, or even if you are a Marvel Comics fan, you might not know who Swordmaster is. He's a newer character that is very obscure. He's had a series or two, I think a couple of miniseries, never really took off, although he is a really cool character because he had the shards of this really powerful sword in him, and it gave him all these powers and stuff. He was actually really cool. But then she made him the Iron Fist, and Danny Rand was running after him or something. We haven't seen Iron Fist really since. Shocking, right? You can't make that stuff up. Story time with Wes. No matter what Kevin Feige and Marvel Studios do with this female version of Iron Fist, it won't be as bad as what Larry Hama and Alyssa Wong did. So I guess we have that as a bar to exceed, which isn't very high. It's too bad because Danny Rand as Iron Fist is really cool. It's just weird that in modern times, where we're not supposed to stereotype people because that's racist, having a white character go and learn martial arts in an Asian country is not allowed. Only Asian people are allowed to be martial artists, but that's also stereotyping and pigeonholing. And it just becomes really strange. And what do you do with a guy like Chuck Norris or Michael Dudikoff? Shit, man, American Ninja? It gets fucking confusing. You think you're just being normal, and the next thing you know, it's apparently I was a racist because my white kid was learning Taekwondo. Okay. At least my kids are half Asian. Maybe they'll accept it. Who knows? We do have some other rumors going around about that Defenders universe. And I don't have time to make a video or a full video about this, so I'll talk about it here. Kristen Ritter has got fans talking about a potential comeback as Jessica Jones after an extremely loaded video posted on her Instagram story. The Breaking Bad actress posed in a very familiar t-shirt to Marvel experts with the caption, IYKYK, which stands for If You Know, You Know. Well, the fans did know, you know, and the T was quickly identified as one Ritter once wore in character as Jessica. This is far from the first time Ritter has hinted she could come back for Born Again. Just weeks before production got started, originally in early 2023, the star shared a gym selfie in which she was working out while wearing a Daredevil t-shirt. And I'll be honest, of all the stuff in the Defenders universe, like the two shows or the two characters I could do without really are Iron Fist, because I don't think they did the character very well. And I do feel bad for Finn Jones because I kind of liked him as an actor. But certainly the other one is Jessica Jones. And I like Kristen Ritter as an actress as well. But their version of Jessica Jones, or their interpretations where she was just like an alcoholic booty call and was just like banging random dudes until she meets up with Luke Cage, I did not like. If you're a big Jessica Jones fans, it sounds like we're likely to get Jessica Jones back. You know, now that they've decided to open Pandora's box and accept the fact that the Netflix Daredevil Born Again Defenders universe is actually part of Born Again. I'm sure I confused a few things there, but the one I would really like to see is Luke Cage. There's a better version of Luke Cage out there in comic books, but the Luke Cage they put out on Netflix was perfectly fine. It was actually pretty damn cool. And I hope we get some rumors and little Easter eggs that he's coming back, because he's the one I would be really excited about. But hopefully they will be able to do Danny Rand Iron Fist justice in the future. But it does not sound like that will be in the immediate future, because Marvel has to shit on the male characters, and this is one that never really got over in the Netflix universe. So might as well swap him out with Colleen Wing and see what happens from there. I don't think that has a future as far as Disney Plus. But does anything have a future as far as Disney Plus? I guess they're really, the linchpin of that is going to be Daredevil Born Again. If you would like more coverage about pop culture, I definitely want to invite you to go check out the Patreon. There's a link in the video description. Aaron Sparrow and I have conversations every single week, 2.5 hours long, about pop culture. Also, lots and lots of comic book content there as well that you might be interested in. If you are a comic book head, definitely check that out, because lots of fun stuff happening on the Patreon as well.